There's a video circulating right now that has already collected millions of views in less than 24 hours, and if you have not seen it yet, you are about to understand exactly why everyone cannot stop talking about it. This is the moment Jimin left the stage at Stade de France, ran straight into the crowd of 92,000 people, and turned one song into the most talked about few minutes of BTS's entire European tour. Stick around, because by the end of this video you will understand not just what happened, but why this single clip is spreading faster than almost anything else BTS has done since their comeback. Let's set the scene first, because context is everything here. On July 17th, 2026, BTS returned to Paris for the first time in 7 years. The last time these 7 men stood on a stage in the city was 2019, before the pandemic, before military enlistment, before anyone could have predicted the journey that would follow. 7 years is a long time. Long enough for a fanbase to grow up, move cities, change careers, and in some cases, wait their entire adult lives for a moment like this. And on that Friday night, they got it, at a scale nobody expected. Stade de France officially holds 80,000 people for concerts. On July 17th, BTS performed in front of 92,000. Read that number again. 92,000 human beings packed beyond the stadium's listed capacity, making it the single largest crowd BTS has ever performed for in their entire 13-year career. Bigger than any show in Seoul. Bigger than Wembley. Bigger than anything in the United States so far. If you are new to this channel and you think K-pop fandoms are exaggerating when they say their favorite artists are among the biggest acts on the planet, this is your proof, documented, verified, filmed from 100 different angles by professional broadcasters and fans alike. Before we get to the moment everyone is searching for, I want you to understand who was in that crowd, because it changes everything about what happened next. This was not just K-pop fans. French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte were there, seen on camera holding light sticks, the same glowing army bombs teenagers wave at these shows. Fans traveled from Spain, Portugal, Italy, Norway, England, Ukraine, Argentina, the Philippines, and Turkey, each group waving their national flags like this was the World Cup, not a concert. Someone drove 3,000 kilometers just to be in that stadium. Women in hijabs stood next to fans in traditional Korean hanbok, all singing the same words in a language most of them do not speak fluently, because that is what BTS does to people. It erases the distance. Now here is where it gets interesting, and here is the part of the night that is now living permanently on every fan account, every clip channel, every reaction video across the internet. Midway through the set, during the performance of Swim, the stage design shifted. BTS was performing on a raised, rotating platform at the center of the stadium, the kind of elevated stage that keeps performers visible to every single seat in the building, but also keeps them physically separated from the people who paid to be there. And then, without much warning, the members came down. They left the platform. They stepped off the elevated stage entirely and ran, actual full-speed running, through the pit and up toward the stands, closing the gap between themselves and the audience in real time. Jimin was one of the members at the center of this moment, moving through the crowd while continuing to sing live. No lip-syncing, no slowing down, sprinting, and performing simultaneously in front of tens of thousands of screaming fans who suddenly realized the person they had been watching on a Jumbotron screen for the last hour was now physically close enough to almost touch. If you have ever wondered why this specific type of moment becomes a career-defining clip instead of just another concert highlight, here is the answer. And it is worth understanding if you actually want to know why some videos explode online while others with the exact same production value just quietly disappear. It is not about choreography. It is not about outfits. Even though Jimin was wearing a custom look designed specifically for this tour by Dior's creative director Jonathan Anderson, which is its own story we will get into in a second, it is about proximity and risk. When an artist leaves a controlled, elevated, secure stage and puts themselves at ground level with a crowd of 92,000 people, there is an element of unpredictability that a camera cannot fake. The audience feels it before they even understand why. That authenticity, that sense of this could go wrong, but he's doing it anyway, is exactly what makes a clip travel across platforms overnight. Before we continue, if this is your first time watching one of these breakdowns, do me a favor and hit subscribe right now, because we are covering every single stop of this tour in detail, and trust me, Paris was only the beginning of what's about to happen this week. Also, drop a comment telling me which member's moment from this tour has hit you the hardest so far, because I read every single one of them, and honestly, some of your comments have made me tear up more than the actual concert footage. Now let's talk about why this particular clip, out of literally hundreds of moments from that night, is the one that took off. Numero magazine, one of the most respected fashion and culture publications in France, sent a journalist to cover the show in person. And in their review, they specifically singled out this crowd-running segment as, quote, the best moment of the second act, describing it as sportif et émouvant, which translates to athletic and moving. When a fashion magazine that does not usually cover K-pop concerts calls out a specific 60-second segment as the highlight of a 2-hour and 15-minute show, that tells you something. It means the moment transcended the fan base. It landed with people who walked in as skeptics. And that is the real reason this video is doing millions of views overnight. It is not just ARMY rewatching it for the 20th time, although trust me, that is happening too. It is crossover. It is people who follow French politics, seeing footage of their president holding a light stick and clicking through out of curiosity, then staying because they see Jimin running through a crowd like it's the most natural thing in the world. It is casual music fans who saw the headline about the record-breaking 92,000 attendance and wanted to see what all the noise was about. It is soccer fans, because remember, this was the same week as the World Cup semifinals, and French fans in that stadium were still processing France's loss to Spain. So when Spanish flags appeared on the Jumbotron screens during the concert, the French crowd responded with good-natured jeering, turning a K-pop concert into a moment that felt like a sports event. All of these different audiences converged on one clip, and that convergence is exactly what pushes a video past the algorithm's normal ceiling. What makes this even more interesting is watching how the clip actually traveled once it left the stadium. It did not start on a massive fan account with millions of followers. Multiple versions trace back to shaky, vertical phone footage posted by fans who were standing in the pit that night, the kind of low-production, unfiltered video that usually gets buried under polished edits within hours. Instead, this one kept getting re-uploaded, recaptioned, and stitched into reaction videos across TikTok, X, and Instagram Reels within the same 24-hour window, each version picking up its own separate wave of views instead of funneling back to a single original post. That kind of decentralized spread is exactly what platforms reward, because the algorithm reads dozens of smaller explosions happening at once as a sign that something is genuinely resonating, not just being pushed by one large account. Compilation channels started stitching this clip next to Jungkook's French-language message and V's TikTok dance video from the same weekend, framing all three as proof that this specific Paris run was operating on a different level compared to earlier tour stops. By the time mainstream entertainment outlets picked it up the following morning, the clip had already done the hardest part of going viral entirely on its own, purely on the strength of how it looked and felt to the people who filmed it in the moment. Let's go back to Jimin specifically for a second, because I know that is what most of you clicked on this video for, and I am not going to make you wait any longer than I already have. During the member greetings later in the show, when each of the 7 took turns addressing the crowd, Jimin was the one who directly acknowledged the scale of what had just happened. He described the show as the largest audience in the group's entire history. Not the biggest in Europe, not the biggest of the tour, the biggest of BTS's career. Full stop, coming from the mouth of the man who was just sprinting through that same crowd 20 minutes earlier. When Suga backed this up by comparing it to their 2019 show at the same venue, at roughly half the size, it turned what could have been a throwaway comment into a genuine historical marker for the group. And here's a detail most casual viewers miss, but if you are someone who pays attention to these things, you will appreciate it. That custom Dior outfit Jimin wore during this segment was not a random choice. Jimin has been Dior's global ambassador since 2023, and Jonathan Anderson, who took over as Dior's creative director, personally designed pieces for this specific leg of the tour. So when Jimin ran through that Parisian crowd wearing a custom piece from one of the most influential fashion houses in the world, in the actual city where that fashion house is headquartered, it created this layered moment of symbolism that fashion press could not resist covering. You had K-pop, high fashion, French national pride, and raw physical performance all colliding in the same 60 seconds. That is an almost impossible combination to manufacture on purpose, and it happened organically in real time in front of 92,000 witnesses with their phones out. If you are new to BTS or you are just getting into this fandom, I want you to understand something about why moments like this matter so much to longtime fans specifically. This tour, called the ARIRANG World Tour, is the group's first as a complete 7-member unit since 2022. All 7 members completed South Korea's mandatory military service, a process that took years and that many outside observers speculated could permanently change the group's dynamic or even end it altogether. Instead, what we are watching right now, night after night, city after city, is a group that came back tighter, more confident, and somehow even more connected to their audience than before. Moments like Jimin running through that Parisian crowd are not just good content. They are proof, for the people who spent years waiting and wondering if this day would ever come, that the wait was worth it. I also want to address something for those of you scrolling through comment sections wondering if this is being exaggerated, because I know how skeptical people can get around viral claims. Let's look at the actual receipts. This is the same week one of Jimin's bandmates, posted a separate dance video filmed in Paris that hit 9.7 million views in 21 hours on TikTok alone. Jungkook made headlines for his French-language message to fans. Le Monde, one of France's most respected newspapers, published a full retrospective feature tracing BTS's career from their 2013 debut to this exact night. This was not a quiet show that one clip happened to blow up from. This was a citywide, then countrywide, then eventually worldwide media event, and the crowd-running moment simply became the single most shareable 60 seconds because it captured everything the night represented in one continuous, unedited shot. Now, if you are watching this and thinking, okay, this sounds incredible, but is this a one-time thing, or is this going to keep happening throughout the rest of the tour? Here is what you need to know. This tour has 88 scheduled shows across 34 cities, running all the way into 2027. After Paris, BTS heads directly into performing at the FIFA World Cup final halftime show, sharing a stage with Madonna, Shakira, and Justin Bieber in front of what is projected to be one of the largest global television audiences in history. So if you thought the Paris crowd-running moment was going to be the peak of this era, I have some news for you. This tour is just getting started, and if Paris set this kind of precedent, the North American leg coming up in August is going to be an entirely different level of chaos in the best possible way. Before I wrap this up, I want to make sure you actually walk away from this video with something more than just, wow, that was cool. Here is what I think this moment really tells us. In an era where most concert experiences are mediated through massive screens, pre-programmed lighting sequences, and performers who barely make eye contact with row 1, let alone row 100, an artist choosing to physically close that gap, sprint into an unpredictable crowd, and keep singing without missing a beat is not just good showmanship. It is a statement. It says the distance between performer and audience is something worth risking comfort and control to close, even for just 60 seconds, even in front of 92,000 people, even with a head of state watching from the stands. That is why this clip is not just going viral. It is being talked about as one of the defining moments of this entire era of BTS. So here's what I want from you before you go. If this video gave you even a little bit of chills, hit that like button right now, because it genuinely helps this channel get seen by people who have not discovered this fandom yet, and honestly, more people deserve to see what happened in that stadium. Subscribe if you have not already. Turn on notifications, because we're covering every remaining stop of this tour as it happens in real time, and I promise you, based on what we just witnessed in Paris, the moments coming out of the North American and Asian legs are going to be even bigger. Drop a comment below telling me if you were watching this live, whether through a live stream, fan cam, or if you're only discovering it right now through this video, because I genuinely want to know how far this moment traveled. And if you want to go deeper into everything else that happened that night, including the full setlist breakdown, the surprise songs performed exclusively for the French crowd, and what happened during the second Paris show the very next night, I have those videos linked right here and in the description, so go check those out next. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.